So before we get into the video, I just gotta say that I stutter a lot in this because I was recording this at about 2 in the morning. So as I'm editing this, I'm just now realizing how much I stuttered and messed up and fumbled on words. So just a quick disclaimer on that. So I'm just that bad. If you have been around my channel since the early days of dinosaurs, then you're probably familiar with just about how many levels I both made and hosted during my GD career. The list is longer than the Lord of the Rings series by script, and to this day, if you type into the YouTube search bar by my name, a bunch of parts from all my old collabs, both finished and dead, pop up. So today, I decided to both torture myself with the ultimate weapon of cringe to review all my levels and collabs that I both hosted and never finished. Kotality Cry was actually a revamped and buffed version of the layout Kotality Cry by Procot. Procot's original level showcase was deleted, making my showcase for the original layout the only main video to ever pop up for the time. I didn't even showcase the whole level. This was back in 2019, and Ragnarok at the time was one of my favorite levels of all time. So what did I do?
I destroyed an already wacky ass layout and made it worse by making it similar to Ragnarok.
The level was going to originally be a solo, but I eventually abandoned the project after the first 2 parts looked god-awful and due to the lack of motivation. Jump ahead where COVID comes around and I meet my new and closest internet friends who at the time wanted to make a creating team. I had brought the idea of bringing back Kotality Cry, possibly making it into the team's first full-length level. Preview 1 was deleted from my main channel, but there still remains one public preview that still remains on one of my friends' channels, Fear 7. The preview showcases the only found deco of both my parts for the time, which when watching sends shivers down my spine harder than hearing nails on a chalkboard. The original lineup that the level had was forced. And what I mean by forced, I mean as the people didn't actually pick the parts, I just held them at gunpoint and assigned them and said, build. Jump forward by about a couple months, me and Sir Jacko thought it would be cool to revive the project once again, this time revamping the entirety of the layout. This was when I had no idea of how gameplay actually worked and how to execute it properly, which is why it looks like a recent tab YouTuber challenge. The level then again only gained minimal progress, although some parts did get finished, it would eventually die and I would never speak of the level again. Cat is pretty self-explanatory. If you're not familiar with the 2 modern remakes on the other 2 Apocalyptic Trilogy levels, Math and Bath, they basically follow the same concept as I had for Cat, being a modern remake of the Extreme Demon from the Apocalyptic Trilogy. My part is the only part that was ever finished, and I'm pretty sure the art in the back was ripped from some sort of Pusheen Cat level. Knowing the person that I wouldn't doubt if it was stolen. I don't really have much else to say about this level. Oh god. 1077 was an Ultra collab, which was also my first original and finished collaboration with new people. A lot of the people who participated actually still work with me today in my collabs, which is shocking being the fact that it's been 3 to 4 years and they're still putting up with my ass after so long. I do just gotta say that 1077 was just for fun, but also was absolute hell to host since it was my first time jumping into the host seat and trying to manage it all. Of course, it looks like something that would be considered explicit content for the creators of this community, and to be honest, I'd rather be hanged by my nutsack upside down if it meant I didn't have to watch this again. Arthurian Legend was a huge turning point in my hosting career, being the only level where I was able to actually follow up on a solid lineup and push standards out and be strict with them. Although still being a glowtastrophe, I feel pretty proud about the final result to be honest. I still find this level extremely stable. I even remember sending it in one of Xenor's level request streams after it got finished. I don't really have much else to say about this level, mainly because I don't see many issues with it as my others, which you will hear about in just a little bit. The level eventually got moved from my main or old main account to the TV team account, which eventually created a glitch where the level would not be able to be seen if you didn't have the exact ID. Forsaken Xenon was the level that really threw me on the radar in the community, at least I thought it boosted my big ass ego at the time. The layout back then was supposed to be a fun remake as a way to practice my gameplay skills, and I thought remaking a famous charming 1.9 level would cure all of my problems with gameplay. Sure, it looked alright, but I will say, if you play this shit without deco, it's a lot more fun. Within the layout getting some love, I thought it would be fun to host a Forsaken Neon remake. I felt that having a level that the creators could base their ideas off of would be a pretty good result. I couldn't be any more delusional than before. The theme was split between both tech, space, and which for some reason was a challenge for all of us since mainly everyone wanted to do their own ideas, which my ass was okay with. Which is why this part looks like a cave, and this part looks like the ends of the New York City subway. And this part looks like a rip in the space-time continuum. The deco consistency was also never the best, being the fact that this level was gaining immense hype that my dumbass thought that rushing it would just be better for everyone. The level never ended up getting rated, and to be honest, I can pretty much see why. The level doesn't carry much connection to Forsaken Neon, being the original and not giving any charm that matches at all. So that's about it with this mess up. Sadly, this isn't the last remake to come up. Xenolith was the start of the Vermilion team, which I'm pretty disappointed about the fact that I never continued with it, especially since the layout was absolutely stacked with crazy creators at the time. It's funny because now there's a level named Vermilion using the exact same song, which I think is a coincidence, but who knows. The issue that arose from this was the fact that I didn't have a good deco lineup compared to the gameplay lineup. Since the TV team was just starting, I didn't have connections with good creators. Some parts did get finished, but then I knew that this level would be a little messy, in which I was right on deco consistency, making it hard for the level to gain progress in the long run, before I gave it up and just gave it to Freddy Dash, this being one of many levels I would pass on to him.
Hell no, man. What the fuck?
I don't think most of you will actually remember this, but I was actually shocked that I still remember this because I came across one of the old gameplay parts on YouTube. Luminous Dispersion was a random name I got from a Roblox game known as Elemental Battleground, which the level was named after one of the power elemental moves. I totally forgot what I was going for with this level, but if I'm correct, I was going to have this be the same style or idea as Make It Drop, but I could only find so many remaining parts on the internet to watch. Final Phantasm is both my biggest flop and most controversial project out of everything I've ever made or hosted. There was another remake of ABP which was named the same thing back then and which was never finished and most likely died as a collab. That level was remaking the deco as I did both the gameplay and deco phases, which to be honest sucks because their lineup was better than ours. The gameplay was already a mess up as a remake and I had early issues with both difficulty, consistency, and connections to ABP. The project would then go into a crazy spiral of both troubles and intense progress, some with cool creators and some that just ended up dropping with no progress at all. Even Rosaline, known as one of GD's best artists, had an end screen for the level which we ended up just scrapping. When AFP got its final preview, I labeled it as official for the remake as a cloud grabber when I ended up getting the attention of the entire team by its hybrid, who ended up going crazy and bombarded the video with comments and dislikes. Well, at least I thought so, which back then was enough for me to just drop the level as host after so long. To this day, I agree with their statements that the level was a complete ruination of a classic and iconic 2.0 extreme demon that everybody loves. I know Freddy is planning on redoing this level to possibly be tons better. Serulian was a collaboration in which I just picked a bunch of gameplay makers I found and wanted to make a generic low level that had opposite color schemes, just like Make It Drop. Only 3 to 4 gameplay parts remain on the YouTube platform to this day, in which I might bring back at this point. Little people know this, but Mythic was never originally hosted by me, but passed down to me by Rubrum, along with a couple other levels as well, but I wasn't too interested in them. Just like Xenolith and AFP, I eventually gave the level to Freddy Dash, in which you can see the official preview on his archived videos. My gameplay part replaced Kaora's gameplay, in which I would put a video to showcase the original gameplay, but Rubrum deleted his original layout showcase, in which I can't really show you guys. This level didn't have the best lineup, especially in decorating, and aside from Galafluff, who had a part before I was handed the level as a host. Can't believe this was what his creations looked like compared to now. I'ma have him suffer as much cringe, to be honest. Give me a second. The levels phase right now does look quite nice for being a Mystic remake. Although the gameplay doesn't really match up, I feel as if the deco definitely makes up for it in some parts. This is going to be covered up in one category as I don't really want to talk about each and every single one of them that I hosted all at the same time. All the levels layouts got done at different times, but when we released them in numerical order in the series, 1 to the finale, the final layout gained its way to the top of one of my most popular layout showcases on my channel to this day. Plasma Shock was the first one and was the only one that gained excessive amounts of progress, which has been previewed on my channel, and I passed the level over to Berserker, in which I haven't received any progress reports from him, so I don't really care. The overall feel to the level really screamed Plasma Pulse, and I was super impressed by the deco being able to reflect off of it so much, giving it the feel without ruining its charm. Gyron really wanted to see this level get finished by his comment. It didn't look too bad at all. Little to no progress was made on the other 3 levels, in which a couple community posts show some little progress by the decorators, but my plan was to only have the first one to be decorated after all. But eventually my plan changed to just have the first one decorated, since I didn't want to be responsible for remaking a whole series at the time. This was back when everyone was on my tail about AFP and I didn't really want to deal with it anymore, so eventually I stopped the collab as a remake in general. Oh boy, this layout went through so many changes and processes to be made. It was also inspired by another layout by Zulz. His was more connected to pop culture by Zafkiel7, while mine had a more original style to it, for the most part at least. This layout had to have one of the best groups of gameplay creators I had ever since Xenolith. The level was never decorated and I plan to keep it like that, as I think trying to have this level decorated would be too connected to pop culture, as I wanted to try the same modern and cartoonish vibe that pop culture has. So sadly, the level will still stay a layout. Seasonal Festivity was one of my more original ideas and stacked lineup for gameplay. After the layout was done, I wanted to jump into immediate decoration, the only issue being that I didn't have a set style or standard ready for the level. I wanted a more realistic and natural style to it, sort of what Reckless looks like. Since the level was super slow on progress, I wanted to lighten my collab load. I ended up cancelling the project altogether, the level being public on the TV Team account. Might also bring this back if I really want to. Around the time when K-pop Culture and Seasonal Festivity were in their gameplay phase, I was secretly hosting Forsaken Krypton, the official sequel to Forsaken Xenon. It was originally supposed to be a solo layout, but back then my motivation was lower than the Pioneers Global Inc. stock rate, eventually becoming a collab. This layout is also one of my better gameplay collabs, with a set basis on what I wanted it to look like and for the sequel. And to be honest, I think we did a pretty good job with it. Since there's Forsaken Neon and Forsaken Neon V2, we would have done Forsaken Xenon V2, but might as well name it after another element on the periodic table. Some of y'all need to learn that anyway. Personally, I am quite happy with the final result of the layout, although the difficulty balance might be random, but who cares? Most list demons are like that nowadays anyway. I never had planned to get it decorated, and just like pop culture, it'll forever be that way. I don't really want to speak on IO19 because I feel as if the experience is so much more influential in my career that it deserves its own video altogether, so I'll cover this in a future video. Mandela was a fun little collab that I thought would be fun to do. The idea was to have a more eerie and sinister feel to it as if it were to be decorated. It would be based on the analog horror series known today as Mandela Catalogs by Alex Kister, which explains the end screen of the layout. This layout was surprisingly done quickly, lasting about a month or two of hosting, and it turned out pretty decent. The level ended up just staying as a layout due to the same reasons as Seasonal Festivity, being I didn't really have the best connection with many art creators at the time to really pursue the theme that I had for the level. Eonia was a 1.9 collab that I wanted to do because I thought it would be fun. The gameplay and decoration was supposed to have a very fun and energetic vibe to it, the deco being like a color craze of energy to fit the intensity of the song. When I lost my main Discord account, the level was getting little to no progress on deco, with Freddy Dash making the only completed part, in which I will show because it actually looks decently good. With 2.2 also coming out and destroying slope physics, making the level completely unplayable in the long run. Not too much to really say about this level. I know the decorators and gameplay makers want me to possibly continue, but knowing my list of current collabs, I'ma have to have this level at the bottom of my list. Well, that's just about it. I feel as if I cycled through just about all the true collabs that I have hosted in my entire time playing this game. Now, if you think I missed some, which I might have, then it simply means that I don't care much about them to really talk and elaborate on them. They simply have no story to tell, besides the fact that they probably died a week after I started them. That's just about it for this video, I guess. See you guys.